One of the most dangerous mistakes you can make in life is believing that everyone deserves to be saved by you. It sounds noble. It sounds compassionate. It sounds like the kind of thing a good person is supposed to believe. You see someone struggling and you think, I can help them. Someone keeps making the same mistake and you think maybe they just need one more chance. Someone betrays you, disappoints you, lies to you, or takes advantage of your kindness, and you tell yourself they are probably going through something. I should understand. But there is a difference between helping someone who is temporarily weak and rescuing someone who has made weakness their identity. There is a difference between giving a person a hand and allowing them to climb onto your back. And there is a difference between compassion and self-destruction. Machiavelli understood something that many idealistic people refuse to accept. Human beings are not judged only by their intentions. They are judged by the consequences of their actions. If your kindness creates dependency, your kindness is not harmless. If your forgiveness teaches someone that they can hurt you without consequences, your forgiveness becomes an invitation. And if you repeatedly save people from problems they deliberately create, you are no longer helping them. You are protecting them from reality. That is why you must be careful about who you rescue, who you defend, who you financially support, who you emotionally carry, and who you allow to return to your life after they have already shown you exactly who they are. There are 6 types of people you should never save, not because you are cruel, because your time, your energy, your reputation, and your future are limited resources. And if you spend all of them repairing people who are committed to destroying themselves, eventually they will take you down with them. The first type of person you should never save is the person who repeatedly creates the same problem and then expects you to solve it. Everyone makes mistakes. That is not the issue. A mistake can be forgiven. A bad decision can be understood. A moment of weakness can happen to anyone. But when the same disaster appears in someone's life again and again, you have to stop calling it bad luck. At some point, it becomes a pattern. They spend money they do not have, and then they ask you for money. They insult people, destroy relationships, and then they come to you for emotional support. They ignore every warning, reject every piece of advice, and then expect you to clean up the consequences. They make promises they never keep, create chaos wherever they go, and somehow you become responsible for restoring order. The first time, you may help them because you believe they are genuinely struggling. The second time, you may help because you think they have learned their lesson. The third time, you begin to notice something uncomfortable. They are not looking for a solution. They are looking for a reliable rescuer. This is where many people become trapped. They confuse a person's regret with a person's transformation. Someone can feel sorry and still do the same thing tomorrow. Someone can cry about the consequences and still refuse to change the behavior that caused them. Someone can promise you with complete sincerity that they will never betray you again and still betray you the moment the opportunity appears. Emotion is not evidence of change. Behavior is evidence of change. Machiavelli would tell you to judge people by their actions over time, not by the intensity of their apologies in the moment. A person who truly wants to change does not only ask for forgiveness, they change their habits. They accept restrictions. They take responsibility. They stop demanding that everyone around them absorb the damage. You do not save a person from a pattern by making the pattern more comfortable. If someone keeps falling into the same hole, the kindest thing you may do is stop filling the hole for them. Let them experience the inconvenience of their own decisions. Let them feel the weight of their own irresponsibility, because consequences are sometimes the only teacher a person is willing to respect. The second type of person you should never save is the person who uses helplessness as a weapon. This person may look weak. They may sound confused. They may constantly present themselves as a victim of circumstances, other people, society, their family, their boss, their past, or their bad luck. And to be clear, real suffering exists. Some people are genuinely mistreated. Some people are born into difficult circumstances. Some people need support because life has dealt them a terrible hand. But there is a difference between being a victim of something and building your entire identity around being a victim. The manipulative victim does not want your help to become stronger. They want your help to remain dependent. They turn every conversation into an emergency. They make you feel guilty for having boundaries. They say things like, if you really cared about me, you would do this. They remind you of every time they were hurt, but never mention the pain they have caused you. They make their problems your moral responsibility. And whenever you try to step away, they accuse you of abandoning them. This is not vulnerability. This is emotional control. The person who uses helplessness as a weapon understands that most decent people hate seeing others suffer. They know you have a conscience. They know you do not want to feel selfish. So they place their burden on your back and then punish you when you try to put it down. You become their unpaid therapist, emergency fund, crisis manager, and emotional servant. But notice the hidden arrangement. They get to avoid responsibility, and you get to feel guilty. They get comfort, and you get exhaustion. They get rescued from every consequence, and you slowly lose control of your own life. There is a form of kindness that gives people strength, and there is a form of kindness that rewards helplessness. You must learn the difference. If someone is genuinely trying, help them. If they are taking steps, support them. If they are learning, guide them. But if they refuse every solution while demanding endless sympathy, stop participating in the performance. You do not have to argue with them. You do not have to expose them. You do not have to prove that they are manipulating you. Simply stop responding to every emergency. A boundary does not need a speech. Sometimes it is just a closed door. The third type of person you should never save is the person who betrays you and then becomes angry that you remember it. This type of person wants access to you without accountability. They hurt you, apologize just enough to regain access, and then become offended when you are no longer as trusting as before. They say, "Why are you still bringing up the past?" But the past is not the problem. The problem is that they want the benefits of your trust without accepting the consequences of breaking it. They want you to forget because forgetting gives them a clean opportunity to repeat the behavior. There are people who make one serious mistake and spend years proving that it will not happen again. And there are people who make the same mistake, apologize, blame the circumstances, blame you, blame alcohol, blame stress, blame their childhood, and then act surprised when you become cautious. Never confuse an apology with a restored relationship. An apology may be sincere, but trust is not restored by words. Trust is restored through consistent behavior over time when nobody is forcing the person to behave well. If someone betrayed you, you are allowed to forgive them without giving them the same position in your life. You can release anger without reopening the door. You can wish them well without trusting them with your money, your secrets, your reputation, or your future. This is where many people become weak. They think forgiveness requires access. It does not. Forgiveness is an internal decision. Access is a strategic decision, and you should never make strategic decisions based on temporary emotions. Machiavelli understood that once a person has discovered the price of betraying you is only a short apology, they have no reason to fear doing it again. People learn from consequences. If betrayal costs them nothing, betrayal becomes part of the relationship. If lying leads to another chance, lying becomes profitable. If disrespect is followed by your immediate forgiveness, disrespect becomes safe. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate after they cross the line. That does not mean you should seek revenge. Revenge often gives your enemy too much of your attention. It means you should become unavailable to repeated betrayal. The strongest response is not always confrontation. Sometimes it is removal. And the fourth type of person you should never save is the person who envies your progress while pretending to support you. This is one of the most dangerous people because they rarely attack you openly at first. They smile when you succeed, but their smile feels forced. They congratulate you, but there is always a small insult hidden inside it. You got lucky. I guess anyone can do it now. Let's see how long it lasts. They ask for details about your plans, but not because they are excited for you. They are collecting information. They want to know how far you have advanced, who is helping you, how much money you are making, and where you are vulnerable. They may call themselves your friend, but your success makes them uncomfortable. Your growth forces them to confront their own lack of movement. And instead of using your progress as inspiration, they experience it as an insult. You have to understand something about envy. Envy is not simply wanting what you have. It is wanting to reduce the distance between you and them, even if the only way to do that is to bring you down. The envious person may not want your life. They may only want you to lose the advantage you have created. This is why you should be careful about saving people who secretly resent your success. You give them advice and they use it against you. You introduce them to opportunities and they sabotage the relationship. You recommend them to people and their failure damages your reputation. You defend them in rooms where they are not present, while they question your character in rooms where you are absent. And the most painful part is that you often discover their envy only after you have given them access to something valuable. Your network, your ideas, your credibility, your time, your private information. Do not assume that history creates loyalty. Sometimes history only creates familiarity. A person can know you for 10 years and still want to see you fail. A person can grow up with you and still resent the fact that you became someone they cannot control. And this is why you must watch how people react to your good news. Pay attention to the people who become distant when your life improves. Pay attention to the people who only feel close to you when you are struggling. Some people do not love you. They love being above you. As long as you are confused, broke, insecure, or unsuccessful, they feel comfortable. But the moment you become disciplined, confident, attractive, wealthy, educated, or respected, the relationship changes. Do not save someone from the consequences of their envy. Do not shrink so they can feel tall. Do not hide your light to protect people who are committed to remaining in darkness. The fifth type of person you should never save is the person who has no respect for your sacrifice. This person expects your help so often that they stop seeing it as help. It becomes an obligation. You give them your time, and they act as if your time has no value. You lend them money, and they become annoyed when you ask for it back. You solve their problems, and they criticize the way you solved them. You cancel your plans for them, and they complain that you arrived too late. You keep making sacrifices, and they keep raising the price of being close to them. This is how generosity becomes exploitation. The person may not even think of themselves as an exploiter. They may simply become accustomed to receiving. And once people become accustomed to receiving from you, they rarely ask whether you can afford to keep giving. They assume you will continue. They build their plans around your weakness. They stop preparing because they know you will rescue them. They stop appreciating your effort because they believe access to you is permanent. This is why unlimited generosity can create entitlement. If you always pay, people stop bringing money. If you always apologize, people stop examining their behavior. If you always initiate, people stop making an effort. If you always forgive, people stop fearing the loss of your presence. Your kindness must have a limit, or it will eventually become a resource that other people consume. There is nothing wrong with being generous, but generosity without standards is not virtue. It is poor management. You are managing a life, a body, a mind, a career, and a future. Every yes you give to someone else is often a no to something within your own life. No to rest, no to your family, no to your goals, no to your health, no to the work that could change your circumstances. The person who respects you will not demand that you destroy yourself to prove that you care. They will be grateful for your help, but they will not build their entire life on your assistance. They will try to stand on their own feet. And if they cannot repay you financially, they will repay you through honesty, loyalty, gratitude, and effort. But the person who respects nothing you sacrifice will eventually make you resentful. And once resentment enters a relationship, your kindness becomes poisoned. You help them, but you secretly hope they notice. You give, but you keep score. You stay, but you feel trapped. That is not love anymore. That is emotional debt. And the best way to avoid it is to stop giving where there is no appreciation. The sixth type of person you should never save is the person who is actively destroying the person you are trying to become. This is the most important one, because sometimes the person you are saving is not simply wasting your time. They are changing your identity. You spend enough time around a person, and their standards begin to influence you. Their habits become familiar. Their excuses begin to sound reasonable. Their worldview becomes part of your vocabulary. If you spend every day with someone who is cynical and you start to doubt ambition, if you spend every day with someone who is addicted to chaos, peace begins to feel boring. If you spend every day with someone who avoids responsibility, discipline begins to look extreme. If you spend every day with someone who mocks your goals, eventually you start hiding them. This is why relationships are not merely emotional choices. They are environmental choices. The people around you shape what you consider normal, and what you consider normal shapes what you tolerate. A person may be kind to you and still be destructive to your future. They may love you and still be unable to walk in the direction you need to go. They may have a good heart and still possess habits that will pull you into failure. This is a difficult truth because we want love to be enough. We want history to be enough. We want memories to be enough. But shared history does not guarantee a shared future. You can care about someone and still accept that their path is no longer compatible with yours. You can remember the good times without allowing the bad habits to continue controlling your life. The person who is destroying your future will often accuse you of changing, and maybe you have changed. That may be the point. You are supposed to change. You are supposed to become more selective, more disciplined, more ambitious, and more protective of your peace. If someone only loves the old version of you, they may not love you. They may love the access they had to your old weaknesses. They miss the version of you that was easier to manipulate. They miss when you had no boundaries. They miss when you were available at any hour. They miss when you accepted less. They call your growth arrogance because your growth removed their control. Do not apologize for becoming difficult to distract. Do not apologize for becoming unavailable to chaos. Do not apologize for choosing a future that requires you to leave certain people behind. Machiavelli's central lesson was not that you should become evil. It was that you should stop being naive about power, incentives, and human behavior. You must understand that people often respond to what you reward more than what you say. You can tell someone, I will not tolerate this again. But if you keep giving them access, your words mean nothing. You can say, I need respect. But if you continue accepting disrespect, you have communicated that respect is optional. You can say, I am trying to build a better life. But if you keep surrounding yourself with people committed to wasting theirs, your actions contradict your ambition. Your life is shaped by the alliances you maintain and the behavior you permit. This does not mean you should abandon everyone who is struggling. It means you must ask better questions. Is this person struggling, or are they refusing to grow? Are they making a mistake, or are they repeating a pattern? Are they asking for help, or are they demanding rescue? Do they appreciate what I give, or do they feel entitled to more? Do they want to become stronger, or do they simply want me to carry them? Do they respect my boundaries, or do they punish me for having them? These questions will reveal more than a person's words ever will. And you should also ask yourself why you feel compelled to save everyone. Sometimes the desire to rescue others comes from love, but sometimes it comes from fear. Fear that they will leave if you stop helping. Fear that they will hate you if you say no. Fear that you will look selfish. Fear that you are only valuable when you are useful. This is a dangerous belief. You are not valuable because you constantly solve other people's problems. You are valuable even when you are resting. You are valuable even when you are unavailable. You are valuable even when you do not give someone what they want. A person who only appreciates you when you are useful does not appreciate you. They appreciate your function. And you must never confuse being needed with being loved. Some people will create problems just to keep you emotionally attached to them. As long as they are in crisis, you have a role. As long as they need saving, you have a reason to stay. But when they become independent, the relationship may disappear. That tells you the relationship was never based on mutual respect. It was based on dependency. Your goal should not be to become the person everyone runs to when their life collapses. Your goal should be to become the person who has enough discipline not to let other people's collapse become your identity. You can help without becoming responsible. You can care without carrying. You can advise without controlling. You can forgive without returning. You can love someone and still walk away from the pattern they refuse to change. That is not cruelty. That is clarity. And clarity is one of the rarest forms of power. Most people do not lose their lives in one dramatic decision. They lose them through small acts of self betrayal repeated over time. One more loan, one more excuse, one more dishonest friend, one more apology accepted without change, one more night spent solving somebody else's emergency, one more opportunity sacrificed for someone who would never sacrifice anything for you. Eventually, you look at your life and realize that you did not fail because you lacked talent. You failed because you kept giving your strength to people who used it against you. So, save yourself first. Protect your attention. Protect your reputation. Protect your future. Protect the quiet part of your mind where your best ideas are born. The right people will not demand that you destroy yourself to prove your loyalty. They will not punish you for growing. They will not turn your compassion into a contract. They will not make you feel guilty for refusing to participate in their destruction. And the wrong people will reveal themselves the moment you stop rescuing them. That is useful information. Let them become angry. Let them call you cold. Let them say that you have changed. Sometimes being called selfish is simply the price of no longer being easy to exploit. You do not need to become ruthless. You need to become difficult to manipulate. You do not need to stop caring. You need to stop confusing care with responsibility. And you do not need to save everyone, because some people are not drowning. They are pulling you underwater. The moment you understand that, your relationships will change. Your standards will change. Your peace will return. And for the first time, you will stop asking, how can I save this person? You will start asking the question that protects your entire future. What will happen to me if I keep saving them?